Once you've got your classroom set up and you've decided that you want to start giving some students assignments online, it's really simple. You head into the class that you want to post the assignment in. And instead of doing an announcement, you do an assignment. The difference is that assignments are things that you intend to grade as part of your classwork. So first, you give it a name. Now, generally, I usually put a date as the beginning of the file name because Classroom is going to automatically create a new folder for this assignment, and if they're in date order, they're a lot easier to find and sort later on. You can provide directions, and what you can then do is you can start adding different kinds of files. Now, for example, for this particular test, I have a Google form that's ready to go for students to fill out. Now, I want them to be able to get this form very easily, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the live form, I'm going to copy the link for it, and I can add that link by clicking Attach Link to the assignment. When I do Add, it's going to create a link students can click on that will go right to the test. Now, in addition to this test, which is mostly multiple choice, it's actually fill in the blanks, based off of a word bank, I want to also give them the word bank, so I'm going to attach a Google Drive item, and that's going to let me attach the word bank for the test, and I want students to be able to I want to make a copy for each student so that every student is going to have their own copy of the word bank that they can mess with on the test. They can add stuff, take stuff out, delete, cross out, all that kind of stuff. Now, your options when you're adding Google Drive files to an assignment are students can view the file, which is great if you want them to see it but not make any changes. Students can edit the file, means that all of the students are going to have editing access to the same file. So if they were doing a group project, that'd be handy, but on a test I don't want them all working on the same file. So instead, I'm going to make a copy for each student. And I'm also going to put on here the second part of the test, because the first part is mostly fill in the blanks and matching. I want to also have them write in their own definitions that I'm going to go back and look at later. So I've attached the link to the online form that they're going to fill out. I've attached the word bank page that they're going to each have their own copy, and I also want them to all have their own copy of the writing their definitions section. So I make a copy for each student for each of those. If I wanted to, I could share this to multiple classes. So if multiple classes were going to take the same test, I can share it to them very simply. And once I've got all my information filled out, if I want, I can put in a due date. The only thing the due date does is that it lets it puts a flag on the page so that students will see if they have completed or not. If they haven't completed it by the due date, they are still able to go into the file. So all it really does is add that indicator for students when they're supposed to have things taken care of. It doesn't stop them from doing an assignment that's late. So I can have the due date on there whenever I want it to be. When I've got all my settings set up, I've got the things I want to go with this assignment attached. I've said which classes I want it to go to, just this one in this case. I've set copies for each student for my Google Drive file so the students can work on their own copies, and then I click Assign. And what it's going to do is post this to the Google Classroom page for this particular class, and once it's done assigning, the assignment is created, I can see how many students have turned in the work, how many students have not yet turned in the work. Now, they're going to see something slightly different on their side when they go to look at the assignment. So if I come over to a student account and I go into this class, here is the assignment that I just posted. Says when it was posted, says this flag over here warning them, hey, this is due soon. It's got the title of the assignment, and that's a clickable link that I'm going to skip for the moment. It's also got an open button over here that I'm going to skip for the moment. And it's got a link to the form that I want them to fill out. Now, when they click that link, it's going to open up the form, and they're going to be able to start filling out information about this page. They're going to be able to start taking the test, basically. Now, I also want them to be able to use the word bank and stuff. Where is it? Well, if I click on the name of the file or if I click on the open button, it's going to bring me inside the assignment. And inside the assignment are any other pages that have been added, anything other than links. So what it's going to do is it's going to generate for the student, for student A, it's going to generate a set of copies of those files. And says that this is not done, it's due tomorrow, tells me the name of the assignment, and then I've got options to add, create, and turn in. It's also got copies of the files, and notice that it's added the student name to the end of the copy. So the student is going to know this is my copy to work on. They can also add private comments that only the teacher is able to see at this point, unlike if you add a comment on the main page to an assignment or to an announcement. Any comments added here are going to be public to the entire class. Now, when students open up one of these files, they're able to see what's inside it because they've got their own copy, it's got their name, and what they're able to do is they could then, for this word bank for example, they could start to copy and paste their work from the word bank into the test, and then they can take it out of here, paste it in down here instead. So they've got this workable word bank that they can use. In addition to having the word bank, they also have the second part of the test, and this just happens to be a Word document that they can do things to. And here's the thing, as they write on here, they are going to have editing permissions on here, and they can put in whatever they want to put. And as they fill out this page, something interesting happens in Classroom. When they're working on a Classroom page, they get a new button up in their menu here, a Turn In button. So when they're finished, they can click Turn In. It's going to say, it's going to ask them, are you sure that you're done? Because you've got these two pages that you've been working on. If you're finished, that's fine. If you want to add a message to the teacher, you can do that here, but you don't have to. So if you're done, click Turn In, and what it does is it changes those files from can edit, and it changes the permissions so that students no longer have the ability to work on that page. So if I'm a student, it now tells me I'm done with this. If I come over here and I try to work on it some more, I'm not going to have editing permissions anymore. It's only going to give me view permissions. So I can look at what I've done, but I can't make any changes to it. What I can do as a student is I can click this Unsubmit button if I realize, oh, you know what, there's something I need to work on. I can even put a comment to the teacher, I forgot to fill out question 2. And then hit Unsubmit. And all of this gets stored for the teacher to review later. And so now the student can open up this page, and it takes about 30-45 seconds for the page to update. You'll notice that it's still in the viewing menu options, but if I give it a couple of seconds and refresh this page, the menu options change, and now instead of being in Can View, I'm now able to edit. I can actually go in and start writing information on the page again. When I'm finished, I click Turn In as a student, and that's going to it's going to ask again, are you sure you're done? I say, yeah, Turn In. And now all that work has been saved. Now, as the teacher, I'm going to be able to see when I refresh this page that I now have one student who is done with the work for this assignment. And what I'm able to do is click on that one done, and it's going to show me which student is done. And if I want to, I can click on the student's name, and here's their work, and I'm able to actually go in and assign points for the work. I can click on this link. It's going to show me what this student has done in that file. It shows me that it's their file because their name has been attached to it. I can see what they've done. Now, the cool thing about when a student has turned work in is that you can go in as the teacher and look at their work to grade it, but you can also go in and you can actually add more information. You can edit their work. You can go in and add comments to their page. And when the students get this back, they'll be able to see all this. So it lets you, as the teacher, sort of become a paperless grader and commenter without having to have a piece of paper in front of you. You can go in and add all sorts of information or tags if you want. And you can actually even switch it from editing to suggesting mode, so that if you do put in something like this, you can make it stand out more, and it'll be sort of wrapped in green when you're in suggesting mode, and it'll pop up a comment on the side that lets the student, when they go back into it, accept or deny that suggestion, or even reply to that suggestion. So it gives you, as the teacher, a lot of ability to work with the items the student has turned into you. And even when you switch it back to editing mode, the suggestions are going to remain and the comments are going to remain. And when the student gets this work back, they're going to actually be able to see all this information on their copy of the file that you shared with them. And then I can come over here and put in a grade, and if I want to, I can put in a comment too. And if I want to put in a grade, I can say they got 20 out of 100. I can also change the grade scale, 1, 20, 50, 100, or ungraded. At this point, you're not able to put in a custom grade scale. Those are your only options, but they are options that you can use. And once I'm done grading the work, I can check this one if I want to, but it's just a word bank, so I don't really need to look at this one to see what they did. But I can if I want to. Once I'm done grading the work, I can click Post. When you are grading work, when you're done grading it, Google wants you to return it to the student, which means you can give them feedback, but really what it's doing is it's going to change the, it's going to record that grade as a finished grade, and the student then gets the grade, any comments that you've made, and they're able to then go back into the assignments and see what they've done. They're able to go back in and edit, and they can actually resubmit if that's okay with the teacher. They can resubmit their work to try and change grades if that's, if you're trying to work toward an improvement model instead of a summative assessment. You can use this as a formative assessment that students can continue to rework on. So returning the grades gives the students their grade and their comments and the ability to go back in and work on the assignment some more. And I've still got 2 students who aren't done. I can actually click on that and see who the students are, and since they haven't actually opened the assignment yet, there's no attachments yet. When student B and student go in and open the file, it'll auto-generate copies for them of the files that I shared, and those will then appear here, and as the teacher, I'll be able to go in and view them. If they are not done, as the teacher, I can go in and look at them in suggesting mode, but I'm not able to edit them until the students turn in the file with the turn in button. That changes their permission to can view, and it changes the teacher permission to can edit. That means the Google Classroom not only lets you give assignments, make copies for individual students, post those assignments across multiple classes, it also lets you collect all that work in one place, see who's done or not done, provide students with feedback within the assignment and also outside of the assignment as just a quick overview, and post grades. In other words, you've got paperless classroom right there.